Hey guys, welcome to episode 11 of the Equity Podcast. I'm Joe and this is Berek.
What's up, dog?
There's some construction going on next door, so you'll probably hear some noises. We're sorry about that. We'll do as much as we can to keep that down.
I'll try to talk a little louder. I don't talk that loud generally, so I'll try to talk a little bit louder.
Today our main topic is the 2020 games, likes, dislikes, takeaways, and then we have a question and answer, and that'll be it for the day.
Yeah. So our sponsor this week is Prep for the 2021 Open. So this year we're going to do a clinic leading up to the Open to get us ready for it. So it's going to be working on skills that you need to excel at the Open. And if you're interested in that, we sent out a email last week about struggle through growth. And there's a link in there in the PS. You can check that out. Or you can go to equity.fitness/2021 open prep. And then you can just put your email in there and we'll send you out more details as that comes along. So we're going to be prepping for the Open coming up. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yep. All right. So once again, the main topic today is the 2020 games. And the first thing we're gonna start off on a happy note. What each of our favorite part of the games was. A little sub. This wasn't necessarily my favorite thing, but it was really happy. They did a good job coverage last year with Rogue and everyone kind of picking up the slack from the media team. But it was really good to see the media team back to. It was good to hear Sean's voice commentating on an event from CrossFit. That was great.
It's funny you're saying a favorite thing before we say our favorite things. I was going to literally bump in and do the same exact thing. But mine was just going to be that they made it happen.
Yes, that's
also
so
awesome.
Yeah, the fact that it's there at all.
Yeah.
Probably my favorite part though was watching Carrie Pierce at the end of Atlanta. Her going off on that run was ridiculous. I've always been a big fan of Carrie, and knowing that she had the chance to podium that year, I was pumped when she took off on that run. I had goosebumps. It was awesome.
Yeah. So I think there was two things super impressive about her performance on that. The first one was she beat everybody.
Everyone.
Not the women.
Universally, everyone.
Everybody. She beat all the guys in that too. And with 300 pull-ups in a workout, and handstand push-ups, those two movements, generally speaking, favor men.
Yep.
Generally. Carrie was like, hold my beer. Let me show you something.
Yep.
And just crush. Super impressive.
Yes.
The second thing that I really liked from that is when she went out on that run and Katrin kind of was starting to gain a little bit on her. I was like, Katrin's going to catch her. And nope. Nope.
Yeah.
She held her off. And that was so impressive.
Yes, absolutely.
That is one of those workouts that I will, as prescribed, I will never do. And we'll talk a little bit about that later.
Yes.
But as prescribed, I don't think I'll ever do that workout.
Yeah.
Haley's hands on that workout. Nope.
And we should put out 3 of the female athletes. Well, Tia tied with Matt, but 3 of them beat all the guys on that workout.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
Because Katrin beat all the guys, and then Matt was first, and Tia tied with Matt.
Yeah,
so
that's crazy. So my favorite part was, I hate to give him a compliment, but I'm gonna give Castro a compliment. Was him using the area. He always does a good job of that, but I love one of the least contrived movements that we can do in the fitness world in trying to get fitter is to run. That is the least contrived thing.
Yep.
Right? That is a one-to-one correlation. If you run, you can see benefits in your life because that is an actual thing that humans have to do.
Yep.
And having them run in 3 or 4 events was really cool. And then using the terrain, because running on flat ground is fine. Adding a hill,
hills
up and down are both really, really hard. And I love doing that. So my favorite event, I'm a big fan of breadth of, I excel when there's a lot of things doing it. So what I really liked was the burpee run thruster workout.
Yeah.
It had so much, I love burpees. I don't hate running. It used the terrain, and then the weights increased as it went.
That was probably the biggest like
It was
mind F.
really, really cool.
That was interesting.
I love that event. I wanted to do that event.
Yeah.
That was one I was like, I really want to do. Maybe not at those weights.
What was
Maybe
it?
not at those weights.
15 and 165 at the end, something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
It's manageable.
Like I
but
could do it.
God.
It would have taken me twice as long.
Yes.
But that event I really, really liked. And it was cool watching the ladies, how Brooke was strong the whole time. And then she just hit a wall and Tia just passed her.
Yep.
It's really crazy about how you can be like, oh, dude, I'm crushing this. And then all of a sudden, you're not.
Well, that's
really,
the,
really cool.
Yeah, we saw that in the first event, which I was really sad to see this happen to Noah again. But Noah on the first
So
event
strong.
went out and then just
Yeah. He ended up, like, he was in first for a while, and then he ended up dropping to, like, fourth, I think.
he was 4th or 5th in that event. Yeah.
Sweet.
All right, so now we're going to discuss something that we wish they changed or wish they had done this year.
Something they did a little different.
Yeah. I was a little bit unhappy with how heavily it all leaned on the unknown. And I know the big game slogan is unknown and unknowable, and it like adds that mystique to it and all that. And even Castro's admitted that you don't really need that, but it makes it fun. He's a showmanship guy, and I get that. But Brooke Wells getting lost on a run because they didn't mark the trail, so like no one could tell where they were actually going. That's kind of about where the line should have been drawn. You can't have athletes losing points in an event, and she may have lost that run. I'm not sure, but you can't have athletes losing points because you didn't mark your event properly. I think that's shoddy at best.
Yeah. I mean, on one hand, 9 other athletes did it.
Yes.
But
No.
that's still not that doesn't mean we can try and be better.
Exactly.
Right.
Like, if you put
They
one or
should-
two more cones down, you'd be fine.
Yeah. That doesn't mean we don't try to be better. I think that's a fair. And then with the one unknown with the turnaround,
Yeah, that's a
I
little different.
wish they could have done it. I wish they could have done that a little bit better to where everybody got that shock.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because only Matt and Justin,
Medeiros, yeah.
they're the only two to where they were like, what? No.
Yeah.
Where everybody else, they saw him going back up the hill.
They got some idea of what was going on.
Yeah. So, like, I get the point of doing it backwards. It's like, oh, now it's a completely different test. But if you just would have had him go do the same loop again, it would have kept everybody else in the dark, and they would have been sprinting through it as well, and they would have had to deal with that mental fortitude as well.
Yeah. And
And again, there's always an argument for and against. I'm not saying that it was a bad idea. It's just something I wish they would have done different. It would have been, I think it would have been really interesting to see how each of them dealt with it.
Absolutely. And to his credit, that's kind of a hard thing. Was it last year where they did the event, or 2 years ago? No, it was 2 years ago where they did the event where they didn't tell any of the movements. But as soon as the first two guys did the movements, everyone kind of knew what the movements were going to be. You never knew what the reps were.
Right.
But I feel like with anything where you have multiple athletes on
I think they've done 2 events. The one was, it was like a chipper.
Yeah.
And you could kind of guess what the movement was. They
Based
didn't know
on-
exactly what the words, but you could kind of guess. Like there's a ski erg out, there's a kettlebell out, and there's a bunch of stuff out.
Yeah.
And you didn't know how many reps there were in each one.
Yep.
Which is kind of cool. And then there was another year where actually it might have been the same event. I don't remember, where they had the row, but they didn't know how far they had to row. I don't remember what year that was, and it may have been the same event, but for some reason, I don't think it was the same event.
I vaguely remember that. I can't place it.
Yeah, it's been a little while. So, they always have that thing, but
Yeah.
I definitely agree with getting lost. I mean, that can't happen. No, it can't happen. So for me, my biggest thing is I just wish there was more athletes. With just 5 athletes there, it would. I think Tia and Matt still would have won.
Yes.
That goes out. But I think having 5 more there would have made it a little bit
I don't want to say legitimate.
more competitive and a little bit more fun, just having more people there. I think would have been, obviously, ideally, we would have had the full spectrum, but just like 5 more, I think, even just to 8. 8 would have been better, I think.
Yeah.
Just having a few more athletes, I think, would have been really, really cool. And then I like seeing the team stuff. I don't get to work out on Saturdays with partners because I coach that class, but I love, love, love doing partner workouts and team workouts. I really enjoy doing those. That's why I love doing the team competitions locally, and when we do ESAC stuff, I love doing when we bring 6 people together. It pushes me to another level. Like, I remember doing competitions, and when we practice the workouts, everybody's beating me, or they're relatively close. And then when I get into competition, for some reason, I just have this switch, and when I have other people with me, it just pushes me more. And I like seeing that, seeing the teams work together.
Yeah. They seeing Rich curb stomp everyone. So our last main point on this would be our biggest takeaway, something that's actionable or something you can think about after the games. And for me, it would be, I'm going to put a big caveat on this. You should not do certain events as written. Do not do Atlanta with a vest unpartitioned. You will probably end up either severely under-recovered for the next week or probably injured potentially. Yeah. It's not something that normal people should do. But pretty much all of the events this year were things that you could do in your box or in your backyard, and most boxes have the equipment that they had. There were no tests that were financially unattainable as far as equipment goes or anything like that. If you want to go to your local pool, you can take a bike, leave it outside, and run outside to your bike and bike around the pool. You can kind of do all these events.
Yeah, they didn't have the snail.
No snail, none of the big worms, no strongman implements that no one has. Yeah.
So this was definitely one that you could modify.
Yes.
And do your version of the games.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And if you want to do your version, talk to a coach. Ask them what you should and shouldn't do, and go from there. And
coaches, be aware of what you're capable of as well. That's huge. It is very possible to do all of it. Every single workout you can do a version of. Mm-hmm. Even the last one, Atalantia. You're not doing it to that. Doing it straight through is not smart.
Yeah.
It is just not smart. But if you split that up, I think you can have a good hard workout with that.
I would recommend not doing it with a vest at all.
Yeah.
The vest is a lot.
And it's just awkward. Don't handstand push-ups with a vest. It's just awkward.
It's like a choking hazard.
Yeah. I agree with you 100%. And like I said, that run thruster burpee workout is one that I'd love to do. And I love how they had that weird height. It was with that.
That was weird and cool.
Yeah. They kind of did a fence hop over almost. They put 2 hands and kind of hopped over. I kind of love that actually. I wonder if we could do that on the rig. We only have 3 spots. If we get the rig on the wall, we could kind of make that happen.
Yeah.
That'd be
and if we still we technically have the yokes, but if the yokes are still set up, you could barbell yoke at a moderate height and then run out that.
And we've done that before. I've used the yoke for burpees for supplemental workouts and stuff. Yeah, they're always fun. Or a bag over the yoke. Those are cool.
Yep.
Cool. So my biggest takeaway was the athletes that were there were elite. They're machines. But even those athletes have room to improve. And that's not to say just general, they can just be fitter, or they could be better at bar muscle ups or whatever, these skill-based things.
Yep.
Obviously they could be better because they're not as good as Tia and Matt. Mm-hmm. What I mean is fundamentally they could be better. The perfect example is if you watch the total, the CrossFit total. So that is you have 3 attempts at a back squat, you have 3 attempts at a shoulder press, you have 3 attempts at a deadlift. We used to do that workout a lot. It's too much.
Logistically really difficult.
It's too hard in an hour class.
Yeah.
Watch the athletes back squat and deadlift. The shoulder presses were all right. I would have no-repped some of them, but that's a different conversation.
You mean catch and push presses? Sorry.
But the back squat, the knees coming in real hard, that is something that can be worked on. And you guys hear us talk about it all the time. And it's something that we constantly work on. Even at that level, they have things fundamentally that they need to work on. Brooke's knees on her back squat almost touched. And that's something that I do not want to see. Now, that being said, when she's back squatting on her own, it's probably not that bad because she's probably focusing on it getting better. But in a competition, she's competing and she's trying to make a living competing.
Yep.
She's going to do whatever she has to do in order to make that happen. So I'm not trying to say she's a bad person or like she should never do that. No, she's trying to make a living. You make that lift. You do whatever you have to do to make that lift.
Yep.
Right? Football players are a perfect example. They're running at each other full speed. You're going to get hurt eventually.
Yep. 200-300-pound guys hitting each other is not a...
They're making that trade-off to make money, to make a living.
Exactly.
Same thing. To be that fit, you're not maximizing health. You're maximizing your fitness so you can make a living.
Yep.
So there is some giveaway. But even that said, she can come back to her training and be like, all right, I really need to start working on my posterior chain and my muscle recruitment and my foot position to help get that better. And then that'll make her fitter in the long run.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm not trying to, I have no room to talk.
Yeah.
There's stuff I need to get better and I can't focus on that. But even at that high level, there's things to get better. So us here, we can keep working towards better. Right. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just keep working towards better.
Yeah. And kind of an aside to that, when people see, I've had people talk about like people outside of CrossFit and people outside of CrossFit tend to see like the games as their thing. They're like,
right.
Oh, I see injuries. Well, yeah, of course you do. Because you're looking at professionals who are doing it for a living. They're going to be injured.
And then also people aren't going to share somebody doing squats under load so that they don't have an issue.
Yeah.
Right. Trying to get stronger. They're going to show the one video of somebody getting hurt. Yep. They're not showing the thousands and thousands of videos of everybody just doing a workout and getting better. That's not going to bring eyeballs to it.
Yeah, but that's a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
Are
we writing these down? Are you writing these down? Somebody needs to write
Didn't we write this one down?
You write down these ideas.
And I would probably like an extra takeaway. I haven't been the biggest fan of how a previous owner of CrossFit was running the organization. I'm really, really hopeful with how Eric Rose is
I agree
doing.
with you 100%.
First of all, seeing him doing an event like that night was awesome. Like him and Mars and Heber and a few of others did an event. But also he's bringing back the sport of CrossFit, which I think is pretty significant for CrossFit as a whole, including the health and wellness side of CrossFit.
Yeah, I think it inspires people to reach for more. Like we had a post earlier today about fighting average. And after the games, man, I was just pumped, and it kind of pushes me like, hey, let's keep working at it. Someetimes I get down, and then you watch that, and I'm like, yeah, let's get it.
Yeah, or like we're talking about our open prep. The last couple of years, open enrollment has been down because they've been de-emphasizing the games. Yeah. And if that enrollment's down, that's not good for affiliates. That's not good for the company of CrossFit. I
find how the number of people that when you don't have to be competitive to want to do the open.
Yep.
What the open does is I don't want to use the word push, but I'm going to use the word push. It pushes you to do something that you thought you couldn't do before. Yep. I can't tell you how many people got their first toes to bar during the open, right? Or their first handstand push-up. Or
lots of first muscle ups.
Yep. Right? That's where they get their first one because now they have to really do it. And that being said, we're not trying to get you your first muscle up year round. Right? Yep. What we're trying to do is we're trying to give you the tools so that when the open comes around or when another period of time of testing comes around, that you have the ability to do it. Right? If you don't have the strength to do a muscle up, it's not gonna. It's
physics.
Just sitting there trying is going to help. But if all year we're just focused on getting, working on our pull-ups and working on our dips, and then all of a sudden the open comes around, it's like I can't do a muscle up. It's like, well, can you hit a few strict pull-ups? Yeah. Can you hit a few strict dips? Yeah. It's like, well, you have the tools there.
And there's 10 people screaming at you, you're going to get one.
Yeah. So it just kind of, it makes you realize what you're truly capable of.
Yeah. Absolutely. I
think that might have been our longest tangent ever, but productive.
Yes.
Tangent.
We got to nerd out today and we were very happy. I haven't, with COVID and everything, I haven't really been able to like talk to people about the games.
Right.
And it like hurt to watch it on my own. Like I wanted to be in there, like in here on the TV watching it with everyone.
Yeah, like usually we had the couches out and we're watching it and stuff.
Yeah, I spend most of my day at the gym when the games are running. So that's probably it for our main topic. Now we have a couple questions and that'll be it.
Yep.
First off is Kelly Lewis is asking what belt should I purchase?
So I kind of tweaked this a little bit because I felt really bad. Kelly, she's been pushing really hard. She's been hitting tons of PRs. She's lost some weight. She's looking awesome, and she's just getting it, and I love it. It's so fun to see how far she's come in the last few months. And she decided to buy a belt, and she bought a belt that another member has. And she's like, yeah, I got this leather belt. I was like, sweet, that's awesome. That's, that can help. It's not the belt I would have bought, but it's definitely going to help you with some certain lifts. So I was like, well, Kelly, I'll kind of talk about this a little bit and tell you what I would do. So with what we do here, we do a little bit of everything. Right? We do snatch and clean, we do the Olympic lifts, we do power lifts, we do gymnastics, we do running, we do a little bit of everything. And when we do a little bit of everything, we get workouts that kind of interplay with each other, right? Like my favorite workout from the games was a run, a monostructural movement, burpees, a gymnastic movement, and then thrusters, a weightlifting movement.
Yep.
Right? And those thrusters got heavy. So I might want to wear a belt for those thrusters. But for the burpees and a run, I don't want that belt all over the place. Yep. If I have a leather belt that I have to pull tight and pull into, it's just not going to be super conducive to me keeping the intensity to where I want it. If I have a Velcro belt, what I can do is I can loosen and tighten that belt really quickly, and I can adjust it as needed.
Yep.
So the leather belts are great for
specific applications,
for powerlifting and for Olympic weightlifting.
Depending on the weightlifter, some weightlifters might not like leather.
Yeah, some weightlifters might not like it, but those are kind of where those are really ideal.
Yeah.
Just changing in and out of that even if you're doing like double unders and clean and jerks, like you don't want that belt super tight, and it's going to take a lot of time and effort to really get that belt tight enough. If you have heavy clean and jerks, it's going to take a lot of time, and a Velcro belt is still going to give you tons of support, and it's just faster.
And it'll move with you.
Yeah. So basically, let me wrap it up into a nice little package. If we're in here, if we're doing CrossFit, if we're doing constantly varied functional movements at a relative high intensity, a Velcro belt is just more conducive to what we do.
Yep.
It's more versatile. So that's where we do. And again, that's not to say that a leather belt cannot be super helpful.
Fantastic,
yeah. And it can definitely help.
And if you want to run a double under with a leather belt and that works for you, more power to you.
Go for it. So, and then same thing. We talked about shoes the other day. With belts, there's good belts, there's bad belts. The biggest thing is just ask somebody, hey, what belt are you using? You mind if I try it on?
Yep.
And if anybody ever wants to borrow any of my stuff, go for it. I'm more than happy to let you borrow it. Shoes, pants, whatever.
And just as one general purchase, like the new Rogue belts are good.
Yes.
The old ones were terrible.
Terrible, garbage. I actually just threw them away. We had like 10 of those old Rogue belts because everybody bought them and then realized they were garbage. And said, oh, hey, you can keep it here for a loaner. Like,
I have one hanging, like I have my Brute belt, which is just phenomenal.
Dude, the Brute one is so good.
Yeah.
So, if I remember, we'll put a link to the Brute belt in our, in the doobly-doo. That is the belt that I would recommend, hands down.
Yep.
The Rogue belt is good too. We'll put a link in for that one as well. But the Brute belt, I think is just phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'll have to find that link. So it looks like we probably have time for one more question today. And that is from Dave Mitchell, who gives us a ton of questions, which is awesome. We love you, Dave. Thank you so much. And he's asking, how often should I take a rest day?
Yeah. So when he asked me this today at 9:30 at the 9:30 class, and he goes, so what do you think about rest intervals? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, my first thought was
In between movements or workouts.
Yeah, like movements, like rest intervals for
like an EMOM or something.
Like an EMOM or like work rest ratio, or even like during a workout where you're taking a rest.
Yep.
And but he was like, no, like days. I was like, oh, recovery days. If you read the L1, it's 3 on, 1 off. I don't think that's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a terrible idea. So 3 days of working out, 1 day of rest, and then 2 days working, and then 3, 1, 2, and you just keep cycling that. So if you do that math, that's 7 days. So that works really well for a week, right? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, break on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, break on Sunday.
Yep.
So that works really well. For me personally, I do 6 on, 1 off, but generally one of those days I bring the intensity down.
Yeah.
And then, I'm just kind of not going ham on it. So I just bring that intensity down. The right answer is you want to build up to whatever level you want to.
Yeah.
So when you first start out, maybe it's every other day or 2 on, 1 off, and you stay with 2 on, 1 off. And then you slowly build up to whatever level you want.
Yeah. Dave likes to give us questions where the answer is, well, whatever works for you.
It depends.
Yes.
A lot of people like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and you can get really fit and stay healthy and well with that setup.
And we have a membership package that works for that.
Yeah, we have 3 day a week package. And then, if you're on unlimited, it depends where you want to go. Like what's your goal? 3 on, 1 off is a really good spot for that. We have people that do 5, 2. I find that when I start getting into those 5th days, if I don't take like a lower intensity day, that Thursday, Friday workouts are really tough.
Yep.
So, that's the other thing to think about it. Is what can your schedule handle?
Mm-hmm.
But 3 on, 1 off is, I think, works really nice.
Yep. All right. That's going to be it for us today. Like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you guys next month. Send us any questions you have. Have a good one.
Peace out. Have a good one, guys.